About 6 years ago, HBO debuted a series that made me acutely aware that despite my deepest desire to be a hater, I too, like everybody else, am easily won over by beautiful visuals. That series was, of course, Euphoria, a show that is about as iconic as it is controversial. And the worst part was that I knew from the very beginning that the series was not good. I felt the cracks in the narrative hiding just beneath the polished surface of film and allegedly stolen art direction. Yet, it was easy to ignore, because the show was a feast for the eyes, and I, young and exhausted from the never-ending scrolling, was starving for something that would make me feel full. With my eyes firmly trained on my phone, I turned my back to the existential anxiety, the lack of happy birthday messages, how my For You pages would constantly show me weight loss content. Everyone seemed to function like that, I didn't question it. I finished the first season. It was okay. The second season proved my instinct to be right about Euphoria's lack of substance, and I couldn't be bothered to watch to the end. I was still starving. I turned to my phone. Continued to scroll, looked at more aesthetic things. Girls prettier than me, fitting into clothes that I could never afford. Oversaturated short-form videos showing a window into a life that I wanted but could never achieve. Shop links, join buttons, beautiful people being beautifully happy in beautiful homes. Pulling away wasn't an option, nor was thinking, what does this mean? What is this actually trying to say? It doesn't matter, isn't it all so beautiful? Don't you wish to be beautiful too? Don't you want to live like this? Well, for the low price of $9. My name is Juno, your local Mothman. Welcome to my tiny channel. Subscribe if you want to help me hit my goal of 60k subscribers. And in this video essay, I will be taking apart something that used to mean a lot to me. Something that is, for some of you, the reason you subscribed to me in the first place. It's time we actually talk about the human cost behind the insanely powerful internet and marketing phenomena, which are aesthetics. I feel the need to preface this video with a trigger warning for detailed discussions of eating disorders and body dysmorphia, as well as an explanation for what I mean when I say aesthetics. Because if you have watched my content before, you know that aesthetic is just a catch-all term for grouping any kind of visually distinct content together. So, in order for all of us to be on the same page, I created this Venn diagram to more accurately pinpoint what I am trying to talk about, and I ended up realizing that I will be talking about all of these aesthetic groups, except for the art movements and design philosophies. So if you were worried that I was going to tear into weirdcore or fruticararel, I would never. And maybe 2 years ago, I would have started off this video by exploring all of the positive parts of aesthetics, how they allow people to express themselves and all that, but honestly, I don't have the patience to do that anymore, because, well, yes, aesthetics have done good things for many people. The amount of harm that has been done far exceeds most benefits. 2 years ago, I got into K-pop, which led me into the soft ballet coquette aesthetic. It made me so insecure, and I was on a teetering edge of an ED. I constantly tried to starve myself, overexercised, etc. Aesthetics have affected me in many ways. At points I developed EDs and seen what I shouldn't have seen when I was a child. A lot of the aesthetics I like tend to lean to promoting more skinny people, so I started to lose weight trying to look like that. All of these statements are from my subscribers. I created a survey to learn the kind of impact aesthetics have had on your life, and the responses to that survey gave me some very important insight. Mainly that for many of you, aesthetics were the gateway to some serious self-esteem issues. But why is that? Let's do a little experiment, shall we? I am going to open up Pinterest and look up the top 5 of the most popular aesthetics this year, and I want us to test how many of the top results will be people that don't fit perfectly into the beauty standard. Ready? I could go on and on and on, but my point remains the same. No matter what kind of aesthetic I look up, the kinds of people that pop up will all look very similar. So if there was a teenage girl that was struggling with her self-esteem and was also interested in fashion, maybe she would decide that dressing better would make her feel more confident. Maybe she would then go on the internet and she would pretty quickly stumble across aesthetics. Maybe she would take liking to some of them and decide to try them out. But whenever she would look for inspiration, all of the girls she would see wearing the outfits she wanted were skinnier than her, smaller, more feminine. What would that do to a young mind? I know, because I was her. When I was very young, I was barred from using the internet, which I was incredibly upset about. All of my classmates were gossiping about YouTubers and what Selena Gomez posted on Instagram. Meanwhile, my only exposure to screens was through watching National Geographic and playing an occasional Flash game. Nowadays, I know that that was a blessing in disguise. A blessing that didn't last long, because the second I got unrestricted access to the internet at age 14, I immediately started reading explicit boyband fanfiction, watching morally questionable YouTube creators, and scrolling across the various social media sites I now had access to. Facebook wasn't interesting to me, so I didn't even bother making an account. On Twitter, you had to go through some kind of verification process and I got too confused, so I dropped out. Instagram bored me, and after getting a bunch of DMs from older men, I got too stressed out and left the platform. After this process of elimination, I was left with one site, Tumblr. Now, Tumblr truly had it all. Beautiful artwork, a unique sense of humor, BTS x Harry Potter crossover fanfiction, an occasional post from the Taylor Swift, One Direction Imagine posts, black and white porn gift sets posted by Daddy's Little Kitten 24. Tumblr was, and still is, a hub for various online communities, and I, as a kid, found myself drawn to many of them. However, it didn't take me long before I found myself staring at the post that would change my life. Under a beautiful photo collage of what I now recognize as the Lolita aesthetic, I remember the caption crystal clear. How to only eat 500 calories per day. Underneath that caption, there were some detailed instructions that would later haunt my life for the coming years. This is a part of my story I purposefully omitted from my Coquette video, where I go in depth about its ties to Pro-Ana. I didn't think that my personal struggle with eating disorders would add anything to the video, but now I think about it differently. I think it's important to humanize the issue at hand, because we can talk about all these different things as if they exist in a vacuum, but they don't. They affect real people and they have lasting impact. As a kid that hit puberty way before any of my classmates did, I couldn't understand why my friends still looked the way they always did, while I suddenly was tall and chubby. The way I looked was constantly criticized by multiple women in my family, and throughout my teenage years, I wished that I could return to being the tiny, thin, and spindly 6-year-old girl I used to be. I wanted to look like the beautiful, thin, feminine girls, and as I was exploring identity for the very first time, this look became my ideal of beauty. But you may be wondering, we all know about this. Every other YouTuber or news outlet talked about the dangers of Tumblr and Pro-Ana and all that. What does this have to do with aesthetics? Everything. Because when Tumblr cracked down on Pro-Ana communities, I let out a sigh of relief. At the time, I naively thought that it was over. We, as a society, acknowledged that an obsession with thinness leads people down dangerous rabbit holes, and now, with the body positivity movement on the rise, we will all grow into a healthier, more accepting society. Now I know that that's untrue. It didn't happen. Nothing changed. The Pro-Ana community shifted, rebranded, and started using secret passwords to get around censorship. And that rebrand was so successful that it pushed Pro-Ana from being an obscure community hidden in forums to being pretty mainstream. How did they rebrand? You guessed it was using aesthetics. With rebranding Proana under more cutesy and feminine names, it gave a lot of posters and influencers the benefit of the doubt. Oh no, this person isn't posting their calves as a way to show off how thin they are. They're merely showing off their coquette ballerina clean girl knee-high socks. Focusing the camera on their flat tummies, girls posting from that one angle that makes their waist look even smaller, clean foods portioned in a way to look more like a snack than a fulfilling meal. All of these things already have plausible deniability, but if you on top of that slap a marketable label, then not only is it easier to deflect any criticism about the damage such posts do, there is also a very simple explanation. These kinds of posts are just a part of the look. It's all just part of the aesthetic. And if you acknowledge what is actually happening, you will be called a bully. Hi, editing Juno here. Apologies for the audio quality. I'm recording this on my phone, but I just want to add that having an ED is not a moral failing because it's just an illness, it's just a disease, and I am not trying to say that we should go out of our ways to antagonize or blame people online that clearly do have some kind of eating disorder. There needs to be some kind of healthy middle between actively antagonizing and demonizing people with EDs and ignoring or justifying their harmful behavior. Because if we just completely ignore and pretend as though the issue isn't there, that's also not healthy. The same way as bullying people with EDs isn't healthy. There needs to be some kind of middle, and that's all that I want to advocate for. Or you will be called jealous. And in the same breath, you will be told that you don't need to be. You're perfect just the way you are. It genuinely pisses me off when people say that. When they go, the way you look doesn't matter, you're beautiful just the way you are. Because, no, it does matter. It matters very much. If you are unattractive, you will get less job opportunities. People will either not notice you or they will be cruel to you. People will judge you more harshly, and so on. Lookism, which is prejudice, I always have such trouble saying that word, prejudice or discrimination based on physical appearance, and especially physical appearance believed to fall short of societal notions of beauty, is present in how we treat each other. There is no escaping that. As someone that went from being an ugly teenage girl to a very feminine young woman, there is such a big difference in how people treat you that it's actually crazy. Men talk to me like they would talk to a human being. People will start conversations with me out of nowhere. I get complimented randomly. I am 100% sure that the reason I managed to get in the good graces of certain government workers and officials was because I have these dumb, huge, wet brown eyes that you apparently cannot say no to. But all jokes aside, pretty privilege is real. And don't let anybody lie to you about how looks don't matter. They do. And this is one of the main reasons why I think that aesthetics are more dangerous than anybody realizes. When aesthetics get sold to us as shortcuts for success and happiness, when we equate being beautiful with fitting in, then we pay the price in the form of our health and identity. And also a lot of real life money. Speaking of money, it is time for the Patreon intermission. If you want to support your local Mothman, you can join my Patreon for $1.50 and have your name read out in every single one of my videos. I do not take sponsorships, so this video has been created thanks to the support of my Patreons. Fungus Finder, LJBR, Super Orlux, Charoli, Smiley Face Upside Down, Look, Listless Lizard, The Julo, Tech Handle, Vanish, Nairbo, Yuki, Vivian is here, Russ, Robert V. Aldrich, Zach Buddy, Casey Valentine, Labull, Rosemary, Nezzy, Ren, Viz, Roses and Water, Alan Foravan, Odelgat, Ren Davidson. Currently, I am working on a huge project for my Dark Academia video where I decided that I am going to make a visual novel. Yes, you heard me right, I didn't have the right material for the video, so I decided to make a video game. If you want to see the preview, as well as get early and free access to the game, you can join my Patreon for as little as $1.50, link is in the description. I got the shirt off Shein a long time ago, when I was still a naive teenager and Shein was the hot brand new thing. Since then, I have not bought anything from there, for obvious reasons. But this one purchase came at the height of my obsession with a certain aesthetic. You can try and guess which one it was? If you guessed Goblin Core, you'd be correct. During lockdown, I was finally growing up and trying to figure out who I was. When I was younger, I was always the weird girl that was digging in mud during recess, but now I was a teenager digging in mud, and I needed a way to feel like I'm a part of something. That's when I found Goblin Core. If you have studied the ancient Junimorph texts, you know that I made a video a long time ago revamping some of my old OCs, and one of them was called Robin. And Robin was essentially exactly how I wanted to be. Small, androgynous, but more masculine, allowed to explore and engage with the things that I loved that I gave up on because my grades were abysmal. I felt jealous and not good enough. And this aesthetic wasn't even one that was based on looks. And yet, it fundamentally changed how I saw myself. All the people that I used as aesthetic inspiration were thin and androgynous. Meanwhile, there I was, chubby with big boobs. There was no way for me to quickly get rid of either of those things, but if I wanted to fit in more with the aesthetic, I could always just buy more new Goblin Core clothes. The link between aesthetics and marketing was something I have scrutinized in my past videos. A lot of aesthetics start out as niche communities with history and interesting ideas, and then eventually they become marketing lingo. I won't harp on that point for much longer. I have a lot to say about this phenomenon, and I will cover it in my Dark Academia video in more depth. What I want to focus on right now is how aesthetics essentially convince younger people that you can just buy an identity. I have used Pinterest a lot, and I found myself trying to fit into one of these aesthetic boxes. It's nice to have words for these styles, so I know what to search for when trying to find inspo, but it really gives me an urge to buy to fit into the box, and have every outfit I find cool. And that's not just the clothes, it is also the main reason I started to smoke cigs, because it looks so cool in all of those rockstar girlfriend type pictures and people. I discovered aesthetics in around 2020 and became obsessed with the idea of fitting into a perfect label. I changed my style, tried to get new clothes that fit my aesthetic. Being online, it has made me think that I needed to fit in a certain box with a specific label in order to be a person. Identity is one of those things that are very fluid if you actually let it be. If you're not obsessed with following gender and societal norms, you might find that every year you are a slightly different person. Like a tree allowed to grow freely, spreading your branches wherever the sun shines. And at no point is that change as rapid as it is in the teenage and young adulthood years. And that's why I find it incredibly troubling that many young people have found aesthetics to be the solution to all of that change happening to them and around them. As one of the survey participants shared, aesthetics make me feel calm and really stable in this fast-paced world. On the surface level, that's great that aesthetics can bring people peace. It is not my intention to make something that, for many of you, is a fun hobby into something that you need to avoid. At the same time, I think that just because something can help us make sense of the world doesn't mean that it's good for us. And in order for me to explain this, let me quote The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I saw my life branching out before me like the green fig tree in the story. From the tip of every branch, like a fat purple fig, a wonderful future beckoned and winked. One fig was a husband and a happy home and children. And another fig was a famous poet, and another fig was a brilliant professor, and another fig was E.G., the amazing editor, and another fig was Europe and Africa and South America, and another fig was Constantine and Socrates and Attila, and a pack of other lovers with queer names and offbeat professions. And another was fig with an Olympic lady crew champion, and beyond, above these figs were many more figs I couldn't quite make out. I saw myself sitting in the crotch of this fig tree, starving to death, just because I couldn't make up my mind which of the figs I would choose. I wanted each and every one of them, but choosing one meant losing all the rest. And as I sat there, unable to decide, the figs began to wrinkle and go black, and one by one they plopped to the ground by my feet. The Bell Jar is, for various reasons, a difficult yet incredibly profound read, especially because Sylvia Plath committed suicide not long after publishing it. And it certainly feels like a farewell letter, a collection of thoughts and experiences told through a fictionalized version of Plath. I think that her analogy is one that works well for what I am trying to talk about right now. Aesthetics are like the fruit of the fig tree, but not those that are actually within your reach. They are the ones that are at the very top branches, warmed by the sun. These figs are dangling just a tiny bit above you. All you need to do would be to perch yourself amongst the too thin branches and outstretch your hands with the dire hope that maybe you'd get to them. But with the branches being too frail to support you, you'll never be able to taste the fig fruit. But if somehow you'll reach the fruit, who knows? Maybe if you bite into one of them, it'll turn out to be rotting on the inside. To Plath, these different things she dreamt of couldn't coexist. She had to pick one. She had to put herself in a box. She couldn't be E.G. and a mother too. She had to pick one identity. In the end, she cannot choose because ultimately, we as human beings need so many different things to be happy, and our identities are very complex. The internet would have you think otherwise, though. When nebulous concepts get turned into terms that we use to put ourselves and others into clear-cut boxes, more often than not, over a period of time, those terms will become a cage. As soon as I found out about aesthetics, I was obsessed. For a long time, I fell into using aesthetics to put myself and others into boxes, to make myself and others watered down enough to feel less scary. I know this is unhealthy, and I am working on stopping it. I have switched aesthetics very often and very quickly, to the point that it would stress me out, so now I think of aesthetics more like a description than an integral part of my identity. I have a handful of aesthetics, but before they literally define my whole reason for living. Plath, in her novel, explores the societally acceptable identities women can take on. And I think of aesthetics as a concentration of those identities. Thousands of years of expectations, cultural and systemic oppression summed up by a Pinterest board. Women's struggle with identity is nothing new. The question of what it means to be me has plagued women since the beginnings of modern society, and for good reason. History is told through the eyes of the most powerful of men. Structures that stopped women from having equal rights are still being dismantled to this day, and our current society, even though it has improved, still puts women in unfair boxes. When I see aesthetics that center around feminine fashion, I can't help but think that this femininity has been so commodified it is no longer just a form of self-expression. It is, as it perhaps always truly was, a political statement. And I'm saying this as somebody that loves dressing in a very feminine way. I love skirts, I love dresses, I love pink and baby blue. To reject femininity is to be political. To embrace femininity is to be political. And in the end, there is no escape from a politicized existence in the globally rising tensions. And on the other hand, things that had deeper, more complex meaning, such as the goth or punk subcultures, have been stripped of the integral context that made them subcultures in the first place, instead making them out to be all about the visuals, and by extension, just another product. In a world of aesthetics, what you are and not who you are matters. And I think that one of the most interesting things to come from aesthetics is how they help to shape a uniform approach to intricate human conditions. We have always associated a certain look with groups of people. It's called stereotypes. But now stereotyping has become branding. if that makes sense. It is as if certain communities coalesce around a hyper-specific look. The look then becomes the most defining piece of information that confirms your belonging to the group. In a way, it's almost a uniform. Think about very specific groups of people, like American Christian moms. They all look pretty similar. Trans men, they all look pretty similar. Gamer girls all look pretty similar. When I say beige mom, you're probably thinking of a higher middle class American Christian white woman in her mid-30s. Fashion and identity have always been intertwined. But with the rise of aesthetics, these meaningful pieces of culture and subculture got co-opted, and in the end they lost a lot of meaning. And in the place of meaning and shared values, branding takes over. You identify with a group because you look similar, and because you look similar, you assume they think similarly to you, not the other way around. But if things such as cottagecore, which was an aesthetic started by lesbians, shows us anything, it's that communities built around a vibe stand for nothing and are easily co-opted. In the past, these fashion choices were born from the circumstances of the people wearing them. Today, anyone can buy and wear whatever style of clothing they want, which is great. But at the same time, clothes have less cultural and societal meaning, and instead offering us what? Now we arrive at what I believe to be the worst promise of internet aesthetics. The promise of community and acceptance. One response to my survey that really stuck with me and made me freeze in my tracks was a very simple one. To the question of how being online has impacted them, one person answered, "I feel a lot more confident about myself because of all the validation." And this answer got to me, because this is the reason why I'm making this video. This person also talked later on more in detail about the fact that the validation was very much based on how they look, and the fact that that validation mainly came from much older people. I will not be sharing that full response because some people might find it rather triggering, but that's the larger context. And that's probably why this answer got to me, because this is the reason why I'm making this video. Young people that are part of the most isolated and lonely generation yet are turning to the internet to look for validation, and it is a cause for concern, especially if the validation is built on the way they look. Many people, because of online culture, monitor themselves heavily. Our ideas of what beauty is growing more and more unattainable, and is getting more and more tied to cosmetic procedures. In such an environment, aesthetics, especially those that share similarities with the alternative community, should offer relief, right? Fashion and art are such wonderful tools for self-expression, and aspirational lifestyles can truly be motivating. But in reality, they're nothing like that. Even aesthetics not tied to fashion or lifestyles, one that are built on ambiguous concepts such as ethereal or artho or beatnik, they are still orbiting around the beauty standard. And because of that, communities built around aesthetics are inherently shallow and easily manipulated. Because if the thing that helps you make the world and people easily categorized, if the thing that feels like a way to simplify identity, the thing that can help you feel like you belong, at the same time makes you insecure, you are a perfect target for exploitation. Aesthetics promise community and mutual understanding, and a place to feel like you belong, and instead of delivering on that promise, they profit off of your need to belong, your need to feel attractive, your desire to explore and express your identity. This is the part of the video where I will beg you, yes you, whether you are a teenage girl or a fully grown adult man, don't betray yourself. I understand the pressure. No matter where I am, I still feel like that kid that got named as the ugliest girl in middle school. It's been years since I was at that awkward age, but I still feel like I am her. I am not her. I grew into my features. My chubby teenage body morphed into curves. I have had people pursue me, yet no matter how many men and women have expressed interest in me, no matter how successful my love life is, I still feel so ugly. And there are months where I cannot stand to look at myself because despite so many people praising my apparent beauty, I don't feel beautiful. I feel useful, I feel young sometimes, but not beautiful. Never beautiful. And I feel that itch in the back of my skull beckoning me to start thinking of Botox or filler when I notice the fine lines on my forehead. That make me reconsider my resolve not to get a nose job, that makes me count my calories and skip dinner, that makes me buy more clothes. I feel for all the people that get addicted to plastic surgery, that cannot post a photo of themselves without a filter, that cannot go outside without makeup on. I feel for every one of you that struggles with your body. And maybe that's why I want to beg. Please, do not abandon yourself. Do not betray the face that is the result of thousands of your ancestors coming together. Do not hate the body that every day fights to keep you alive. You truly are fine as you are. It is okay not to be beautiful. It is okay to just be. It is okay to be ugly. And there are so many different people that try to convince you every day that that's not true, but it is. You don't need to do anything outside of taking care of your health and hygiene. You don't need to fit into a neat box. You don't need to have a flat stomach. You don't need to be muscular. You don't need a 50-step skincare. A moisturizer, cleanser, and sunscreen will be enough. You don't need to fight aging. You don't even need to shave your body hair. Because you are valuable and lovable as you are. And you don't need to fork over your money to beauty corporations in order to be validated. And at the end of the day, no matter if you put every beauty gimmick on your face and eat 1,200 calories a day and spend all of your money on aesthetic clothing, you will still get old and you will die. The amount of ageism present in aesthetics communities truly makes me think that a lot of that comes from a place of fear. Wrinkles, fine lines, loose skin, weight gains, and weight losses remind us of that. Remind us that we are just sacks of meat with a best by date written in our genomes. For most of our lives, our bodies don't feel like our own. Everyone has something to say about how you look. If you're too fat, too skinny, ugly, sexy, doesn't matter. You do not exist for yourself. You exist to be looked at, to be perceived, to be lusted for. So perhaps you can let yourself be. Enjoy the sunlight. Go for a walk. Maybe instead of spending money on products that you hope will make you finally good enough, you can use that money to buy a plane ticket. Go somewhere you've never been before. Make a trash journal where you write your messy human thoughts on a page and don't care if it doesn't look like the aesthetic influencer's journal posts on Instagram. Have fun with makeup and hair and what you wear, because one day you will pass, and before that there will be years, if not decades, where age will get to you, and maybe it is worthwhile to live for yourself so that your heart can be full when your time comes, than to live for the visual enjoyment of others. Aesthetics can be incredible outlets for creativity, a way to express yourself more and to discover many things that you would not normally stumble across. They can give you the tools and the language that you need in order to find out more about the topics that interest you, and at the very same time, they truly can have a negative impact on how you interact and view yourself as well as the world. Aesthetics are a great way to find inspiration and discover new things. That's why I fell in love with them in the first place. Seeing people express themselves in creative ways is always so inspiring, and it just amazes me. But we need to engage with them responsibly. We cannot let aesthetics and beauty standards define us. People are complex beings, and a lot of the things about us don't make clear sense or fit into predefined boxes. Don't limit yourself and your identity to a handmix of terms and labels. You are so much more than that. Thank you for watching this video to the end. I hope this video helped you understand that you don't need to perform. I recently posted a video about little nightmares and childhood trauma, and it's one of my best videos I have ever made. If you'd like to watch it, it should be on screen right now. If you'd like to join a safe, low-stakes community, I invite you to my Discord server. There are around 400 of us there, and people hang out in VC and share their art and outfits and pets and how their days went. So if you're interested, it will be linked in the description down below. Once again, a lot of fun things are coming soon to the Patreon. If you want to check that out, subscribe if you want to, and thank you for watching.